regards to the pandemic, it brought to the forefront this uncertainty. And yet, with or without the pandemic, there's always been an uncertainty. If you really think about what's been happening is, yes, it's a weird phenomenon. And I think it's been about 100 years since there's been a plague like this. And we as human beings, we realize in times like this how vulnerable we are and how unpredictable and uncertain life could be.
Even compare it to like a world war, something really massive and that destructive. But the enemy we can't really physically see.
It's really up to us because we have something that's uniquely human. You know, the stone or the rock, it gravitates. A tiger, a lion, it pounces. We as human beings, we have the ability to choose our system of thinking.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
So here's what I'm telling you. In other words, the pandemic is the circumstances we're living in, correct?
Yeah.
And consider that the circumstances are never the problem. The circumstances they're never the breakdowns. The circumstances are the circumstances. So in this pandemic, well, we have a choice. We could have what we have, or we could be victims to it, or we could resist it and deny it or reject it or fight it, or we could avoid it, or we could be responsible. And responsible is about choices. What choices serve best in the matter? And so with this pandemic, let's say it's, in this case, we're calling it the circumstances we're in. But where the problem really is never the circumstances. It's the context in which things are happening. So if I'm operating out of a context of this shouldn't be happening, or if I'm operating out of a context of victim or dissatisfaction, well, that's not empowering. And of course, I'm not endorsing positive thinking, because positive thinking is kind of like putting butter over whatever it is. Those thoughts are still there, and they're going to show up consciously or not. This is about, SLS is about having what we have, allowing it to be, and once we give it the space, then we could look at what choices there are in the matter.
So are you kind of saying like positive thinking is somewhat like a band-aid over whatever it is that you're feeling? So
Yeah.
so rather than sugarcoating it, for example, you just face it head on and kind of step forward from there, from whatever circumstances you're in.
Yeah, my mentor always said, hey, if there's weeds, let's recognize there's weeds. Let's not say the grass is green when in actuality there's weeds. So this is about, or let's just say the floor. The floor is the way it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we could say, I hate this floor. This floor is so dumb. Whoever put this floor should have put it 2 feet higher. But now we're not accepting the floor. we're not accepting the pandemic. So that's us fighting the floor when there's not much we could do about the floor. The floor is the way it is, right?
Yeah, sometimes I think like for example, a conversation in my head would be like, this pandemic has, well, it sucks and it's terrible, but it has given us time to reflect and to do some of the to pursue some of the passions that we weren't able to do before. So am I sugarcoating the situation, or is it a band-aid kind of positive thinking scenario? Should I change that?
It's a conversation that you're authentically creating. That's different than positive thinking. Positive thinking is, you know, again, saying there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, when there are weeds.
Okay.
So in other words, what I'm saying is, yes, let's accept and let's be with the weeds. Let's allow them to be. So let's allow this pandemic to be what the pandemic is. And when we give it the space, then we have the opportunity to see what choices are there in the matter. But if I can't have this pandemic, if I can't accept the reality, then I can't have anything else. Because I'm so busy fighting the floor. This floor shouldn't be this way. How could I change the floor if I'm busy trying to change it and fight it? First, we must face up to current reality, which is, hey, we have a pandemic. Okay, now what choices serve us best? And when I say choices, I'm saying what interpretation, what am I going to focus on? What conversation am I going to bring to the situation? Because reality arises in language.
Very true.
What looks like reality is only how reality is occurring to us. So for you, it occurred to you as an opportunity.
It kind of did, yeah.
Yeah, and that was something that surfaced through language.